Alright, what's going on YouTube? It's Astro Andy. That's honestly my first time saying that, so it's a little generic, but I feel like it's generic enough. It works for me. But today I will be showing you how I process my Startrails and how I edit them. So I want to start with opening my files here, and don't mind it. It's kind of a mess. I've been meaning to go through and clean it up, but I have yet to do that. But if we go in here, underneath my C stars where I keep most of my working folders, this is the folder I'll be working with. I've already moved all of my CR2 files into one, which is called light. So the first thing that we can go ahead and do is go ahead and open Serial. And while that is opening, we can also go ahead and open up Darktable. With Serial, I will create Startrails in there. Using Darktable, I'm going to convert the files to PNGs so that I can put them into star stacks. And with star stacks, it creates the time lapse for me. Well, it creates the images for the time lapse that I put into pip, and then pip actually creates the time lapse. So we'll go ahead and wait for Darktable to open. Alright, now that we got Darktable open, what we can go ahead and do is go ahead and just drag and drop all these files. I could technically convert them when they're TIFF files, but it won't make too much of a difference. Just drag and drop them, and it will take a second to load them in. So, with all the images loaded in, I could go through and kind of make sure there's no satellites, planes, random car taillights, anything like that. But I have already processed this, so I know that there's not anything in there. So what I can go ahead and do is come over here to the conversion. I want to convert it to PNG, which is already selected. I don't really worry about the 8-bit compression. I don't really want to compress it, mostly because I feel like anytime I do, I just lose too many stars, and I really don't know what the compression does. I've yet to look into it. I mostly just use Darktable to convert my images into PNGs for Startrails. That's all I really use it for. I think you can play around with images in it, but I prefer just to use Serial and other things. So what we can go ahead and do is select the working folder where I want to put it. Where is it? Here it is. We can go in here. We can just name it PNG. That way I know which one is which. And then we can just click Start Export. This is going to probably take like 5 minutes to export them all. I don't have the fastest computer, but it's decent. So I go ahead, and with Serial open, I can go ahead and hit the home folder over here. And if I just work over to this, I can go ahead and open this. And with this, Serial will automatically read that I have a folder that's named lights in here. If we can, I already have a folder that's named lights with all of the lights. So what Serial will do is automatically go through and detect that there's that folder, instead of me having to kind of manually go through and do all of this. There's scripts that kind of automatically do it. So if I go ahead and go to the scripts, I can go down to the Python scripts. Or is it underneath? No, yeah, it's underneath Serial. My apologies. And I just go to the Startrails without DBF. The DBF is darks, biases, and flats. They're basically calibration shots. I've yet to really take any calibration shots when I'm doing images. When I first started, and I was only doing like 8-second exposures with just my DSLR and like manually tracking the night sky and take darks, bias, and flats, I felt like it didn't make much of a difference. So recently, I haven't really spent the time to take calibration shots, which, I mean, it could make a difference in my images, but I feel like it wouldn't make too much of a difference, hence the reason I have yet to take them. So I can go ahead and just click this. It will automatically go through and read all of the files. As you can see, I didn't have to do anything, and it's doing it for me. So the whole script basically will automatically convert all the images. It will go through, it calibrates all the images, it registers all the images, then it plots all the images, and then it stacks them. It's instead of me going in to each individual tab and kind of doing it manually, the scripts kind of take over and do it. It definitely makes it a lot easier and gives me more time to edit photos and stretch images. But sometimes I feel like certain scripts I don't really like because of the way that they stack or stretch images. Okay, so the stacking completed inside of Serial. We can go ahead. It should give us a finished stacked image in here. Yes, perfect, right here. So what we can do is open this up. And this is the unstretched image that it will give me. So we can go down here and hit the auto stretch. This basically applies an auto stretch. It doesn't actually auto stretch, or it doesn't actually stretch the image. It kind of just gives you a little preview of what it would look like. Boom. So the first thing I would want to do is come over here to remove green noise. This is kind of just because I didn't take calibration shots, and just because the most abundant color is green when it comes to noise with my sensor and whatnot. So after we remove the green noise, we can go ahead and throw this back into linear. And I'm going to come down over to strips. And I'm going to use the Veerlux Hypermech stretch. I like this stretch mostly because I feel like it's the least aggressive while being the most aggressive, if that makes sense. But I went ahead, I clicked the live preview, so it'll kind of just give me a little live preview. I hit the auto calculate log. This kind of just looks at the image and uses the data that's already in the image to kind of calculate where it should be at. I feel like this isn't a bad stretch for 15. I don't want to blow out the image too much, and I don't want to make the stars too bright. I think I might turn it down to 13. That doesn't look too bad. Protect background. We can crank this down just a tiny bit. And I honestly feel like that should be good for me. Let's see what it gives us. We just go ahead and hit process. And there are the images. We can hit close over here. And I mean, technically I could take this and be like, perfect. But these stars are pretty sharp. Technically they're trailing, but they're sharper than I expected. You can see, like, kind of right here, this is a red dot. That's kind of just sensor, right here too. Sensor noise. That's kind of what the calibration frames do, is kind of help get rid of it. But I feel like my images don't have that much sensor noise, so I don't really take that many calibration shots. The only time I felt like it was necessary for calibration shots was when I first started and I was trying to take photos of the Milky Way. I had no idea what I was doing really. I was out there, I got 2 30-second exposures, but that was about it. Um, I didn't really know what dew point was. I didn't know what a star tracker was. Well, I had an idea of what it was, but I had no idea what it really did. So I kind of was just out there balling. So I've definitely improved a lot. I definitely want to image the Milky Way. It's definitely something I'm capable of, and it's something I'm planning on doing over this summer. I have a family member that lives up in Michigan, and they live in a border too. And at the end of their driveway, the Milky Way rises. So it is just insanely beautiful, and I know if I just do it, I can capture it. But we can go ahead and over here, and we can go to image processing, we can go to stretches, curves, transformations, and this is kind of where I just play with the image very slightly, kind of just pulling out the colors that I like, trying to darken the sky a little bit, and at the same time bring out the brightness of the stars without blowing the background out too much. We can sharpen it. Do, do, do. It's kind of just like whatever you want to do here. I I I definitely feel like this tutorial isn't really a tutorial. It's more of a me showing you what I'm doing. I This is why I was hesitant to make like a tutorial or a walkthrough, is because I feel like everything that I could do better. But I figured I might as well just post a video, let you guys criticize me and learn from my mistakes rather than sit here and continue talk about maybe posting a YouTube video. So here we are. But I feel like this isn't too bad. I was able to darken the sky a little bit and bring out the colors. If I don't really have any programs that I can mask with, I can technically mask inside of Steady Astro Pro, but I still don't really know how to use the mask. Otherwise, I would, and I would try to bring out the colors in the tree, kind of like brighten the tree itself. But I've yet to learn that. That is something for the future. So I can go ahead and apply, and that is that. I can, if I want, saturate the colors a little bit. We'll just go to glow. That way it plays with the whole image. And it should make it slightly more blue if I saturate it. Ever so slightly. That looks pretty good to me. We can hit apply. And I feel like this is a good enough image to post. I could play around with it some more, but I feel like the more I play around with it, the more I'm gonna regret it. So the last step I usually do is I come over here and I go to utility. I have this script called signature tool, and basically it just allows me to put in my signature. We can go ahead and crank down the opacity, hit apply signature, and it just applies my signature. Like I said, Astro Andy. Pretty generic, but I don't know. I feel like it works. I feel like it works, you know what I'm saying? So the next thing is we can go ahead and save this image. I'm not going to be doing anything else with this image, so we can go ahead and save it as a JPEG. I'm just going to save it as the results. I can name it something else if I want, but it's just going to get saved into this folder, so I will remember where it is and what file it is, and that is done. Darktable has been done, so what we can do with that is go ahead and close that. We can close out a 0 because we are done with that, and now we can go ahead and open StarStax. With StarStax, what we can do is take these PNGs that we converted and drag and drop all them over here. Now it has loaded in all of these. Now with this, I like to just use the comet mode for my Startrails, like to create the time lapse. You can technically stack Startrails in here, but I feel like the serial script does it better. And plus you can use the raw files or TIFF files, so you actually have more information out of the image. So I like to kind of just crank this all the way up to long trails. And we don't need to go that far, we can go about there. We don't want to process in reverse, but we do want to save after each step. We'll save it as a JPEG, and then we will select the folder where we want it to go. We will call this one a time lapse, if I can spell right. I didn't spell right, but it is what it is. And with this, what we can do is basically, it's going to slowly stack the stars and make star trails, but it's going to save the image after each step. And with doing that, when I go and put it inside of pip, what it will do is kind of make a time lapse, making the stars look like as if they were trailing, and making a time lapse of the time from when I started the image to when I finished imaging. So all we have to do is come over here to process. Yes, they're saved as JPEGs. And we can just hit this and it will start processing. It will save each individual step, and then it will also give me a final image. So I will be back once that is done. Okay, the image has finished. As you can see, this is kind of the image it would give me if I was to stack it in star stacks. That's why I prefer to use Serial. Is mostly I just like the way Serial does things. I love Serial. It's an absolutely amazing program, and I've still yet to use it to its fullest capability. But with that, we can go ahead and we can open pip now. With pip, we can go ahead and drag and drop all of these files that just got converted. Control A and yeah, well, let me minimize out of this. So I did not want to maximize this. With pip, as you can see, it kind of just gives me a little preview of my image, but all I really do is I go and I resize it, mostly because anytime I don't resize it, I feel like it gives me a slightly wanky video. So I just resized the width to 2000. I leave the height at 150. Output options, I want to change the frame rate. Depending on how many images I have is depending on the frame rate I'll use. This was like 327 light frames if I'm correct. So I kind of want to do probably 10. Yeah, I'll do 10 seconds. Or 10 frames per second. And then all I have to do is hit start processing. And it will process it for me. So, pip has finished. And we can go ahead and open this up. This is about a 37-second long video, which is honestly pretty decent. I feel like it's not that jumpy. It's decently smooth. You can see the tree moving in the wind slightly. This is not too bad. I will take this. What we can do is we can go ahead and open DaVinci Resolve. I use this to kind of edit my YouTube videos along with any kind of videos. It's a decently powerful program that a friend of mine told me to get. Go ahead and wait for this to open. With it open, we can go ahead and project, create new project, and all we need to do is drag and drop this into DaVinci Resolve. And once that is drag and dropped, we just gotta move to do this. So with this, I can technically cut out anything that I want or shorten the video along with play with the speed of it, but it's already decently at what I want, and I don't really need to crop it at all. So what we can do is we can just go over to the colors tab, and with this, I like to play around with the curve before I actually play around with the colors. That way I can kind of darken the sky a little bit before I actually do anything and try to bring out some of the colors in the stars. It's a little time consuming, but it's definitely worth it. It makes a large difference. Okay, and now with all of these, I kind of just move them towards the cyan or the blue until I kind of get the color I'm looking for. I am not professional whatsoever. I just know what works for me, and I know what makes my images kind of look how I want them to look. I'm going to reset the lift. I'm also going to reset the offset. How's that looking? That's pretty decent. I feel like I added a little bit too much blue and purple to the image, but for a tutorial and a walkthrough, this will have to work. It's gonna work for me. So export it. I want to export it just to the same folder. Go ahead and save it. And it should be done. So if we go ahead and open this up, we have the Startrails themselves. This is the one that I processed inside of Cyril. And then we have the time lapse itself. There's definitely a decent amount of noise, but it's something I can work with. That turned out very decent. I really, really want to use my 14mm so badly to capture Startrails. I'm just waiting for clear skies. But other than that, there's not too much to it. I definitely feel like Startrails are probably the easiest thing to do, and the easiest image to stretch. And I also feel like they look the prettiest. Not, I can't compare them to Deep Space, but when it comes to landscape, I feel like I like capturing the sky moving with something in the foreground. It adds so much more to the image, in my opinion. But that is all I have for you guys today. I appreciate you guys watching, and I apologize for the somewhat botched YouTube video. It's a YouTube video, but I can't call it a tutorial.